Match week 33. We got a lot to talk about this week. We will start with the Premier League, where, of course, Spurs and Manchester United continue to stink out loud, plus a unusual stumble from Forest. Halftime will be a weekly what if related to the World Cup 2026, plus shout outs to the NCAA bracket champions of this year's pool. Around the world, we got to talk about Champions League and Europa League. Big games, second leg quarterfinals coming up this week, plus the MLS Minute with the man himself, and a quick preview of the U.S. Open Cup third round, and then stoppage time with Evan Tony's best bets and everyone's favorite segment, Goas. Now, time to welcome this week's panel of beauty, who's got enough beauty in himself to handle, to make up for the rest of the missing crew. We got a bunch of travelers at the moment. And in fact, Mr. Tyler Terrence, who is with me here this week, was traveling himself, but he still managed to hop on. So, of course, that's why we love you so much. Now, you called the Chicago Fire Inter Miami game this weekend. Two questions there. Is that your first call of a messy game? And number two, is that like a bucket list thing for commentators, kind of like it is for fans?
It was my first. Oddly enough, I had been assigned like 5 or 6 Inter Miami games since he's been in the league, and he's been injured for all of them. And
you in Chicago Fire?
Yeah, literally. Like I was every single Chicago Fire game with the exception of the first one where Shaqiri and Haile Selassie had the brace and they won 4-1. All the other ones I've been on, home and away. And for whatever reason, he just ends up being hurt. Like I'm scheduled like 3 months out, and he just winds up being hurt. When word first came in that he was going to be in the league, I was told that like they were going to keep it pretty tight in terms of who was going to be able to call his games. So I didn't want to get my hopes up that like there was a possibility that I was going to do it. I mean, I obviously wanted to, and I hoped that I would fall into that category, but it was just sort of like, if I get it, I get it. I don't, I don't. And I never thought for a million years, like until he entered the league, that I was going to be able to do a messy game. That's for damn sure. But as everybody knows, like, it was Jake and Taylor basically every single game for the first year. And then slowly but surely, they started to open it up to a few more sets of commentators. And then, like, when we saw his name on the team sheet, we got it, I would say, like an hour 45 before, 2 hours before.
Yeah.
Like, I got goosebumps a little bit. And then watching him come out onto the field. And, like, for me, as somebody who, I mean, I was explaining it to my fiance on the walk back from Soldier Field to the Loop. Like, I called an entire COVID season in an empty Soldier Field. Not a single person in the stands. It was me and Tony Meola calling the games, and we were by ourselves. Nobody else was in the stadium, in the stands, or anything other than the sporting director, the technical director, the owner, and then Nelson Rodriguez, who at the time was the president of business operations. Those were the only people who were sitting in the stands. So for me to go from doing that 5 years ago to then seeing Soldier Field sold out and more than 62,000 on hand for that game, it was like, it was a little bit too much for my tiny little brain to comprehend, but it was pretty awesome. But I wish he would have fucking scored. Like I'm saying to Shannon, my fiance, I'm like, this is a goal I will quite literally like. She was like, "What are the chances he scores?" Before the game, we were out to dinner on Saturday night, and I was
50%.
I was like, more than that. I was like, he's been red hot. He's been angry recently. Like, of course he's going to score. I was like, this is the type of goal I will have a grandchild on my lap in Loveland, Ohio, in 60 years, and I will say to them, I called a messy goal. Here, I did it. Don't get it. I get Chris Brady making saves left and right, and Joe Bamba squandering chances in 1v1 situations. That's what I got.
Next time. He'll score next time.
Yeah.
There you go. I mean, that's awesome. Congratulations. I was shocked when I saw him on the team sheet. I thought after he played in the midweek, there's like no way he was going to play against Chicago, which would be hilarious and also really sad because, as you've already said, he never plays against Chicago.
Crazy.
The Fire have been absolutely screwed by that, and I thought it was going to happen again because it was great that he actually played. Too bad he didn't score, and too bad nobody scored. But still, you can chuck it. You can cross off the list. So
I will.
I will. Not so bad.
All right. Quick word before we jump to the Premier League from our good friends at Kick It, the all-in-one soccer tennis kit that everybody needs to go get right now. Hit us with it, Mr. Tyler Terrence.
Kick it. It's about that time. I was just back in Chicago. I didn't go like right on the lakefront, but I was hovering around Lakeshore Drive, and I saw the beaches where I first fell in love with Kick It. It was very much love at first sight, love at first touch. No, don't get nasty, as a certain golf influencer would say on the TikToks. But no, Sam25 will get you a nice little discount. Shout out to Kick It, great partner. Soccer, tennis, basic set is the one that you're going to get the discount on. Sam25 is the coupon. And thankfully, we don't have any knuckleheads here to mess up any reads, and this is going to be strictly professional from here on out for this episode.
Yes, very professional episode coming up, so prepare yourselves. Let's hit the Premier League. We will start. We're going to keep it quick and dirty, short and dirty, quick and short and dirty. I guess we'll just call this the what's the guy, the Shaqiri. This is the Shaqiri segment, Shaqiri version of the I'm annoyed. He keeps scoring it. He keeps scoring over in Switzerland.
Bite your tongue, because he is ripping it up for Basel.
I know.
Somebody said it on Twitter. They were just like, Shaqiri's literally spitting in the face of Chicago.
It makes me so much madder that he's playing well over there. He just gave no fucks here in Chicago, which really annoys me. Anyway, so we were talking before we got on the air. This run-in for the Premier League, I know we've talked about it before, but it like keeps getting more and more boring every week. Like, I don't know what else to say. I watched all the games because, I'll sprinkle some shekels on them. But like, what is there other than the battle for fourth and fifth?
It's not forcing me to wake up. You've got NBA playoffs right around the corner. You had the Masters this weekend, and the Liverpool win, just to get it out of the way now. That was the final nail in the coffin. Now it really doesn't matter. And the other thing, too, I think that we have to keep in mind is that, the Champions League race is going to be tight, but it's not going to matter until the last 2 or 3 weeks. So I have a feeling once match day 38 is complete, Sam, that, we're going to be saying, that was worth it. That was worth, the lull of, 6 or 7 weeks for us to get, some crazy few finishes on the final match day that basically is going to decide who gets into Champions League and who doesn't. I think that's going to be exciting.
Hopefully, because this lull right now it's painful in a very boring way. And you know what? I said this in the Discord, which everybody, if you're not on Discord, get in the Discord. Yeah. We got a lot of Discord chatters right now. The stream is already popping off. People talking shit about my college career, my first touch, Tottenham. It's really they're going hard here. If the bottom three were not so bad this year, we would have an epic relegation battle on our hands with Tottenham and Manchester United.
If the bottom three weren't so terrible, we'd have an epic.
If they were just a little bit better, a win here, a win there, a draw there, we would actually have a real relegation battle with two, not one, but two of the big six teams absolutely involved. But unfortunately,
the fact that the Red Devils could end up finishing in the bottom four, that's a very real possibility. Obviously, they're not getting relegated, but
as is Tottenham.
Let's
be honest,
it's different. It's different. It's not as it doesn't move.
That's so mean. That's even meaner than us just
tell me I'm wrong. You guys haven't won a trophy in 17 presidents. Don't do that, okay? Because if somebody had told you after Sir Alex's final season, which was what?
2014
years ago? 15 years ago?
Yeah, about 2010. Okay.
Somebody had told you that in 15 years, Manchester United are going to finish potentially just outside of the relegation zone. You would never believe them. You'd be like, you're fucking with me. And it's Biff Tannen coming back in time and basically saying, put money on it. And you'd be like, no, it's a waste of money. Why would I do that? Because it's unfathomable. It really is. And if that's not a sign for, and I know that the sit-ins are happening and all this bullshit, but if that's not a sign for things that need to change there, I don't know what is. It is a disgrace of the highest order. And I really do feel for the Dan Rappaports of the world who are Manchester United fans, because I also feel like we don't have many of them in the Discord chat either. And I feel like we've talked about this, but there's not a
couple.
Ton.
There's a couple. Isn't Breezy's one? I think
Breezy might be one. But anyway, this is all to say that I'm with you. It would be an epic relegation battle, but at the same time, What are we talking about? I know that you want to just find a way to talk about Tottenham in some sort of like positive light, being like,
I really don't. I honestly don't at this point. Like, at least Manchester United has the built-in excuse that this is Emery's first year.
That's
and
I mean, sweetheart, that's not a built-in excuse for to finish just outside.
It is in a relative sense when we're talking about Tottenham.
No, it's not. No,
it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be. But I'm giving him a little bit of grace.
What's your excuse?
We're running out. I mean, I had the built-in injuries excuse, but we are really running out, and we will. In fact, now that we're at the Premier League here, so we've talked about how Manchester United and Tottenham. We've already sort of gotten into this through the back door, which makes a lot of sense. But Manchester United,
you said it was going to be the quick and dirty,
Premier League segment. We're getting right into it here. Manchester United got their asses handed to them by Newcastle, 4-1 this week. This weekend, without, by the way, their coach, Jason Tyndall, I believe, was taking over for Eddie Howe, who, I don't know what he had.
I think he has pneumonia.
Pneumonia? Okay.
It was like an undisclosed thing, and then I read something about pneumonia. Could be wrong, but I don't know. It was just like an undisclosed illness and why he was in the hospital.
Stinks. Hopefully he's back soon.
Yeah.
So Manchester United got their asses handed to them by Newcastle, just absolutely dominated. Wolves, I wouldn't say dominated Tottenham, but they were the better team on the day and beat us 4-2 handily. We had a lot of the ball. We had a lot of looks. We're just not good. I mean, never mind the fact that the thing about that game was that all 4 goals were, what do we say, schoolboy mistakes. They were so basic, stupid errors. All 4 of them that led to the goals. And I mean, I don't know. I've very much cooled on the whole I'm Ange in thing because my whole thing was like, look, listen, we're gonna get healthy. We're gonna turn it around.
That was his whole thing too. That's what
that was his as well.
And
you can tell
he was holding on to his job with that narrative, and now he knows.
It's getting to
it's
him.
Over. Yeah.
He knows it's getting to him. Like when he's talking about, we got leaks. And sort of the things he's doing with the fans and sort of remonstrating. And like when we scored that goal that ended up getting chalked off against, oh God, I can't even remember. My brain is so stupid, but like we scored a goal that ended up being chalked off. And he sort of gave like the thumbs up or whatever to the fans. I mean, the pressure is getting to him, and it's all going to culminate potentially on Thursday when we play Frankfurt. And like, if we lose that game, I would just not be surprised if he doesn't even.
I would pull the plug now if they lose that game, 100%.
I thought you were saying before the game on Thursday.
No.
Like what?
No, but make it known to the soccer world that the Tottenham Hotspur job is open. Like, I would want that to. I would want it to be open for weeks heading into the summer. Like, no, undoubtedly, I would want that if I was.
I mean, we have Ryan Mason. He's been interim before. He'll probably be interim again at some point. I do think that the Ange thing, I love him. I wanted him to do well. I'm not completely like saying he needs to be fired right now. And if he loses that game, I just think
he has to be fired.
I think he'll be fired. Just the way that we've gotten guys back and we haven't got any better.
And you know something? I am curious if like we go back to weeks like 10 through 18, right? Where
we're in the heart of the injury problem,
where we're in the heart of it. No, in the heart of it.
Mm-hmm.
When I was the one banging on the drum, basically saying like, this guy's a fucking clown. Why does he keep doing this? He's playing the same way, even though he's missing 7 or 8 starters. What is he doing? If he had just ridden out that storm a little bit better and packed it in a little bit more and changed some philosophies and changed some principles and had picked up like 7 to 10 more points than he's currently at right now, which again doesn't change anything as far as where they are and what they're going to get as a reward for this season, which is absolutely nothing. But I wonder if that would be a sign to Daniel Levy being like, at least I can figure out a way to get results when things aren't going our way from a personnel standpoint. And I do feel for the guy. And maybe this is going to be a Nuno situation where he takes the next job in the Premier League and he's like Spurs could be the same thing that Manchester United is, but for coaches. Like every player that goes to Manchester United and then moves on is balling out. Scott McTominay, Lukaku, Anthony, Marcus Rashford. Okay,
Yeah.
and that's just to name a few. With Spurs,
Elanga.
Elanga. Now it could be something where it's like Nuno, Forest, Champions League, Ange, insert team here, Champions League. Like I'm just saying, it could be a thing. It could be a thing.
It stinks because he's the type of manager that fits well with Spurs. Like we've gone through the Contes and the Mourinhos and the Nunos, and like they're all great coaches, like no doubt about it, but they just weren't good for us. And was a good fit, or he is a good fit. But
is he a good fit? Why do you still
because he likes to just go for it. And you don't need to win, you got to entertain for Tottenham. You need to entertain me. That's where we're at right now.
Hold on a second.
That's where we've been at.
You were beaten down by the Jose and Nuno eras. Where did you? You don't believe yourself when you say that, right? Like you don't need to win. You just need to entertain. You actually believe that?
No, I mean you have to. You can't just lose every game.
How much sneaky Fox vodka did you have tonight?
Too much. Too much. Just
by the way, what happened to Quick and Dirty? The segment was supposed to be quick.
I know.
Why the fuck are we talking about your 14th place team?
I know. They stink. The point of this whole thing is United stinks, and Tottenham probably stinks more.
To be fair, Newcastle.
We'll talk about them again.
Newcastle is playing some of the best football in England right
now. And Wolves is playing well as well.
Not as well as Newcastle. I feel for United a little bit that they ran into Newcastle in this stretch, in this moment. Yeah.
Buzzsaw. Other things to point out from the Premier League before we move on: Nottingham Forest. In a game that everybody knew was going to have 0 or 1 goals, had that 1 goal, but Everton got it. That is going to be a loss that Nottingham Forest is probably going to want back at the end of the season.
Yeah,
depending on how this shakes out. You got to win that game at home. I talk about teams that are not playing bad soccer. Everton has been playing just decent, very defensive minded, but decent soccer for quite a while. They're just a tough team to beat. And shout out Adam. I know he's probably going to talk some shit about Adam.
By the way, and it's not only did Forest need to win that game, but knowing that Villa was playing Southampton too, right?
Yeah.
Because you knew that there was no way that they weren't going to pick up 3 points. So I'm with you. And by the way, I wish Mitch was here with us because I was the one who said, coming off of the quarterfinal win for Forest and penalties in FA Cup, I was like, there's no fucking chance they're finishing in 3rd and they're winning an FA Cup. They're just not. That's just not. As much as we've been on the Forest train, I don't see it. I do not. That's an incredible season. Who does? They're lucky to just simply be in the conversation at this point with both of the things that I just mentioned, let alone, and Peaches, I love you, but like, I mean, come on, even you at some point surely knew that this is not going to be the fairy tale ending. Even as a Liverpool fan this year, I knew it was not going to be the fairy tale ending that I had wished when Arne Slot's bald head walked into Anfield. But anyway, and listen, it still could be, and I still could be proven wrong, but I'm not terribly surprised that, like, what was it? 2 weeks after the quarterfinal win in the FA Cup and short week and the whole thing, like,
I'm not writing them off, but you're not wrong. And by the way, so Villa got the result against Southampton. Southampton did not put up much of a fight. The other 2 teams that are basically relegated at this point, if not actually mathematically relegated, Ipswich and Leicester, they did put up good fights this past weekend. I think they both got draws, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
So that was
2-2. Yep.
That was interesting. And I think that's all we got for that. That's probably too much for Premier League at this point. When it starts to get exciting again, we'll be back in action. Now quickly, FPL.
Talk to me, baby.
Now the week, for the record, the week is not done yet. So it's a double game week for Palace and Newcastle, and they play each other on tomorrow, I believe. So that's going to be a big one because probably 70% of the FPL world has Isak captained, if not triple captained. You don't?
I do. I changed up my whole team. I played my wild card, and I clearly did a lot better than I've been doing the past few weeks. By the way, I'm still alive in the cup too. I know you're going to get there, but I did check that. I'm still alive, despite some horrid performances over the past few weeks. But I had just had Salah, which was not great.
Not awesome, but I think a lot of people are still sort of, they don't know how the week is going to end up.
Yeah.
I'm one of them because I've got
all
captain.
I'm scoreboard watching is Mitch. That's all I care about. I refuse to do a motherfucking TikTok dance.
You guys, so yes, the loser will do a dance on TikTok. So right now, Tommy, this is the Sam's Army Council of Elders table. Tommy's up top by a fair margin now, 65 points. Whew, he's really pulling away. Fat Ange, Mikey Fowler is in second. I'm in third. And then there's a little bit of a gap. FCTT has now pulled ahead of ESOC at FPL, ISOC at FPL. I never know how to pronounce that, by the way. But you're up 9 points on Mitchell at the moment. And in the cups, so the Sam's Army Podcast League, the cups are going on. This is the, I don't know what round of 128 at the moment. I'm still in it. You're still in it. I don't know if the other guys are still in it. At the moment, I'm playing a team called Endai Will Love You. Njai Will Love You. I love.
There you go.
Great name.
I was waiting to see if you were going to get there.
I was close. I'll get there. Michael Pesson. Right now I'm up 43 to 42 on Michael. He still has
Michael Pesson?
Yeah. Pessin.
Yeah. I grew up with a Michael Pesson.
For real?
I went to Temple with Michael Pesson.
Well, hopefully
it could be him. I don't know. It very well. Shout out Michael Pesson if you're listening. I think he does actually listen to Sam's Army. I was friends with his younger brother. He was older, but I don't know. But this is Zisem Pesach to all of my brothers and sisters who are celebrating, by the way, as well. But this is full circle for me.
There we go. I mean, I went to a Passover dinner. I don't know what the hell you just said right there, but I went to a Passover dinner this week. It's coming right down to it. I won by like 3 points last week in the cup. I'm up 1 point, but he still has 4 players going from Palace and Newcastle on the Tuesday game. I still have 3 players going from Newcastle. So it's really going to come down to it. Interestingly enough, he captained Jacob Murphy. That was an interesting move. I mean, he's got as many points as Isak right now. By the way, the people who captained Isak, like if Newcastle's going to score 4 goals, you're going to be like, okay, here we go. This is zero goals.
But he was great. But he was great on the day. Like he was.
He got an
was
assist.
very, very good. Yeah,
very good. But he's going to score some goals hopefully this past on to tomorrow. Anyway, quick shout out to the people at the top of the actual Sam's Army Podcast League. Patrick Kelly with Magnets is up top. Connor Lingus, Rob Carey's in second. No Hair No Mo. Christopher Frost is in third. Bottle FC. Gordy Foley just jumped Fraser Khanna in Major League Soccer into fourth, and Fraser Khanna is in fifth. So there's the top of the table there. Move on quickly to the weekend preview. So there's a couple interesting games. I think the biggest one, obviously, Aston Villa hosting Newcastle this weekend, since obviously there's big implications for, fourth and fifth. Newcastle right now is in fourth. Aston Villa is in seventh, but they're only 2 points separating them. So, between Forest, who's in third, and Villa in seventh, there's 3 points. Yeah. So that is really where, the interest is going to be for the last however many weeks of the season here. So that game this weekend is a very, very big one. Aston Villa, of course, has a midweek game. Just a little quarterfinal against PSG in the midweek. So that'll, that plays into it here.
They're cooked in that for what it is.
Probably, but I like this Villa team. I like this Newcastle team too. So I'm just very interested to see how that game goes. Other ones that stood out: Fulham hosting Chelsea. Fulham, by the way, I watched that game today. Fulham against Bournemouth. Fulham was fucking trash. They were bad. They made so many stupid, unnecessary mistakes. That just was not the Fulham I've seen all season. So I don't know what was going on in that game. Other ones: Spurs hosting Forest.
Play party pooper. That's all you can do at this point.
Yeah, that's basically where we're at right now. And United hosting Wolves, which is, a 6-pointer allegedly, but really
you should make a bet with Peaches that if Forest wins, then you have to get a Nottingham Forest jersey with Nuno on the back.
Nuno, oh boy. Ooh. Why do I always make these bets where I'm like nothing but downside? I don't like these bets. I'm a bad better on podcasts. Put more thought into
except for the overtrain, baby.
Oh, overtrain. It's cooking. Oh, it is cooking, by the way, this week. We'll get there. We will get there. Yes, we will. All right. We'll move on from Premier League halftime. Before we get to the weekly what if, which I like this question. Quick word from our good friend. Speaking of Loveland, Ohio, Arc Designs, the number one, according to us anyway, 3D engraving company in the world. Tyler, tell us a little bit about them.
Our lovely partners at Arc Designs, as Sam mentioned, they are from the same town. Their shop is set up in Loveland, right down the street from me and my lovely fiance Shannon, and they have been a great partner for the past few months now. And any sort of stadium that you would like, whether it be in the Premier League, Serie A, whatever it might be, they have a feature on their website, www.arcdesigns.com. That's ARCK designs.com. They actually have a feature where you can customize any sort of stadium that you want. You can just basically put it in, say, I want the Bernabeu, Real Madrid, whatever. And then they also do every other sport too. They do college football, they do NFL, they do college basketball, they do NBA. I've got 5 of them. Shannon got 5 of them for me. She said, "Give me all your most, your favorite stadiums, and the normal New York ones, in addition to Anfield." And then Gillette Stadium, but with the New England Revolution in the middle, because that's where I called my first ever MLS game, not because I like anything that goes on at Gillette, including the soccer. But anyway, yes, arcdesigns.com, and as always, code SAM25 to be able to get your coasters, your tables. There's calendars that they have. You can't get a stadium engraved on that, but you can just get a calendar that says like Sam and Courtney, as I just ousted his wife's name. But anyway, yeah, you can do that. But coasters, tables, they're awesome, and you can get your stadium engraved on there. Great stuff from Arc Designs.
A couple people were asking about why Sam 25 was the earlier in the chat.
Yeah, I saw that.
John was like 25 amount of goals scored his whole life. John, that is slanderous, libelous, and borderline blasphemous.
John, I have it on good authority, actually, from a great soccer mind in Major League Soccer that, and I quote, Sam was one of the most difficult adult men's league soccer players in Chicago to deal with.
This was not yesterday.
This was in the late 90s, I would imagine.
No, that hurts. That was like 10 years later.
Early 2000s?
Yeah, I mean mid to late 2000s was my actual heyday in the Chicago Adult League.
Soldier Boy was top the charts.
Circuit. Probably Soldier Boy was involved with the clubbing that day, in that day and age. We'll move on to weekly what if. Okay, so clear your mind. If the unthinkable happens and the U.S. men's national team gets knocked out in the semifinals, what 2 teams would you ideally want to face each other in the World Cup 2026 final, Mr. Tyler Darrens?
Ooh, that's a really good question. I think. Oh, geez. Argentina and Spain.
Ooh, really?
Yeah.
I mean, I can understand Argentina. What? Give me the.
I want the aging superstar and the GOAT, and then I want the young star boy and Lamine Yamal. I want Lamine Yamal and Messi in the World Cup final.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So I as a Messi fanboy at heart, obviously, that's the easy one. I feel like they just won it though, and I want to get some new blood. I really want to see Brazil in the final.
You're not. You will not.
Absolutely not.
You will
That's not happening.
You will not. They're in as bad of a spot as the U.S. are right now.
Oh man, I don't know about that. I mean, my initial thought, my first thought was, first of all, I really like I wouldn't want a Argentina Brazil. I don't want like a Germany France. Like I don't want teams.
You want
an
interconfederate.
Yes.
Interconfederation, not an interconfederate.
Yes. There you go. Intercontinental.
Yeah.
So, and I don't want England to win it. So I'm not going to say that. I was going to say Brazil and Germany, and Brazil gets revenge on Germany for the 7-1, or was it 7-0? I think it was 7-1.
But you know something?
Ass whooping.
You know something? All those European teams outside of Spain and who was it, Slovenia? Everybody played dog shit football in the Euros. Everybody. I hope all of them took a long, hard look in the mirror and will reevaluate, and that these coaches and these federations are not simply going to enter knockout tournaments to not get knocked out in the group stage and in the round of 16.
Is that
Really
is that a, like a
pitiful.
Is that a bigger trend? Is there something to that? Like,
yes, of course there is.
So it was people are just saw Italy or France do it, and they're like,
yeah, because your only job is to simply just do well in these tournaments, and doing well simply means don't lose, and that mentality is for losers.
Even though they've won with that a lot of times.
Who won with that? I'd rather be a Slovene. Okay, Italy did that way before it became cool, but like I'd rather be a Slovenia fan. That's different too. Don't do that. I'd rather be a Slovenia fan
Portugal.
and lose in like the round of 16, or what did they lose in the quarterfinals?
Slovenia?
Yeah.
In the Euros? Oh yeah, that sounds about
they
right.
put it. Yeah, they. Regardless, I'd rather do that than be England and get to a semi or a final and just play absolute dog shit football for the entire tournament. It's an embarrassment. It really is. And sorry if I sound like Mikey right now, but this international football thing just
God, you really do.
It needs an extreme home makeover. It really does.
It'll be cyclical, and somebody's going to go play like attacking fun soccer, and people are
Austria. I want to see Austria in the final.
Do you think that they play fun attacking soccer?
They do. They're one of the only countries that has an identity. It's Ralf Ragnick. It's pedal to the metal. It's high energy, and they actually go and press, and they do things that like.
I thought you were going to say Denmark. I actually thought you were going to say Denmark.
I mean, I spent 6 months of the best months of my life in Copenhagen.
Never been. I've heard a lot of good things. A lot of good things there. All right, we'll move on. Quickly, got to give shout out to the winners, the champion of the NCAA bracket pool for Sam's Army podcast this year. The winner is, I'm going to do a drum roll because I got to wait for the page to load up here. I think it was Matt Wolf, was it not? No, it was not. Wait, do you have a Condon? Great name, by the way.
Great
Unfortunately, name. I don't know it doesn't let me see whose name is associated with the name of this team. So I can't congratulate you or figure out what to send you, Mr. or Mrs. Wait, do you have a Condon? So please reach out to me. Well done on your picks. Very unfortunate for P God Bout 17, who I don't know if he tied with you. Yes, he did. P God Bout 17 tied with Wait, do you have a Condon on points? But obviously the tiebreaker, which was total points in the final, ended up going Wait, do you have a Condon's way. So shout out to Wait, do you have a Condon? Whoever you are. I do not know who you are. But well done. We will move on to Round the World. So this is really honestly the meat of this episode, because we got some big games coming up this week for some crap teams and also for some very good teams. We're going to start with the massive week in Champions League and Europa. We'll start with the good teams before we get to the shit teams. So on the good side, we have the quarterfinal second legs between Aston Villa and PSG on Tuesday, as well as Dortmund and Barcelona. So Dortmund and Barcelona, I think everybody expects that is a dead tie. So Barcelona's up 4-0 heading back to Germany. Aston Villa, on the other hand, they're going home, but they're down 2 goals. They're down 1-3 on PSG. This is a PSG team that obviously has been cooking with gas, as Tyler Terrence knows very well at this point. I really do think that Aston Villa has a good chance to at least make it close in that game. I really do. I like this Aston Villa team. PSG is obviously a very, very good team, but I don't know. I just have a feeling Aston Villa, they're going to make it close. I don't know if they're going to pull through. That is a big ask going, having to come up away from 2-goal deficit, but I just think that is going to be a close tie, a close game.
I want it to be. And I'm excited to watch the game and listen to Villa Park and the whole thing. And I think it's going to be like a proper atmosphere for all of about 25 minutes until Dembele curls one in from the right-hand side, and then they're down 3 goals and the tie's over. But listen, I like Villa. I've liked Villa since Unai Emery has taken over, but like I also see the writing on the wall, and I'm also rooting for PSG to win the entire thing so that we can say that we lost to the champions.
Yeah, you did say that last week. I mean, it's a big ask, no doubt, but man, they're playing so well. Aston Villa is not going to be, intimidated by PSG, especially at home. They got all these guys that have been playing in these big, huge games for years and years and years.
Like Rashford, yeah.
Yes, I mean, honestly, as much as we talk shit about United, they still play in big games and they're still under a lot of pressure. So I do think that there's.
When's the last time United played in like a big game?
They played an FA Cup final. They played in a Europa League.
It's an FA Cup
final. They won it. They won both of them, actually.
When's the last time they've played a meaningful Champions League game?
Well, that's an interesting question.
Well,
under Ole, right?
It would depend. Yeah, and Ronaldo was on the team, but I don't even know. Did they get out of the group? No, they got smoked.
They beat PSG, did they not?
It's not important.
Yeah, I'm going to look it up real quick. They beat him in 3-1 victory over PSG and sending United through to the quarterfinals, 2019.
They got to the quarters in 2019?
Yeah, there we go.
All right, it's been 6 years.
Listen, Tottenham's been in a big game since then.
Don't make it about you. Don't make it about
All right. The other games on Wednesday, definitely the more interesting day. Real Madrid going home down 3 goals to Arsenal, and also Bayern heading to Italy, where they are up against Inter. They are down 2-1, and so both of those games, by the way, are must watch. I'm very, very excited.
But let me ask you this question: why Villa and PSG is going to be, I think, a great game. I'm a little tongue in cheek when I say that like PSG is going to score the first goal. Like that's a 2-goal game. Villa's already shown that they can score against PSG. That theoretically should be like more highly advertised, but just because it's Real Madrid, and they're down 3-0 at home, like that's why it has a little
it's a bigger day because both games matter, whereas Dortmund and Barcelona on Tuesday is a total, shit game. Most likely anyway. That's why I kind of went with that. I mean, I totally agree that Aston Villa PSG is, kind of on the same level with both of those other ones on Wednesday.
Yeah.
Now, do you think, is there a chance Real Madrid can turn this around?
Yes, absolutely.
I completely agree.
I mean, like,
I'm a little biased in this, but I totally agree.
No, but and I can be biased in saying that like my team did it. So yeah, like, and I would take a gander to say that Barcelona team that Liverpool beat was certainly better than this Arsenal team. So I think that it can definitely happen. Listen, if they score inside of the first 10 minutes, really, then all you have to do is go get 2 goals for the rest of the game. That's it. Because I just don't see a world in which Arsenal are going to score on the road at the Bernabeu when it's going to be rocking after Madrid score the first goal. If they score the first goal.
If Real Madrid scores in the first 15 minutes,
to the ground.
Oh God, I can imagine
with that song playing and Luka Modric picks the ball out of the back of the net and he's like, let's go.
And then if you look at Arsenal's injury problems, so Partey is out, Tomiyasu obviously out, Calafiori is doubtful, Gabriel is obviously out for the season. Ben White is now doubtful. I mean, they've got a lot.
They're figuring it out though. And that's the scary
they're
part,
good. They're good.
Yeah,
I'll give them that. They're good, but I do think that they're different when they have Saliba and Gabriel together. Without that, it's a little makeshift. So, I know Real Madrid is missing Camavinga with the red card, and that's really, I think, their main injury issues. Now, there's the big question about Kylian Mbappe, who got, by the way, that tackle he made against Blanco in the Alaves game this weekend. Wow. For a guy.
Diabolical.
Oh my God. If you watch, he jumps and you can almost see him recoil a little bit. Like he brings his leg like up a little bit and then like comes down just like, I'm going to break your MFing leg. Like it looked like that's what he was trying to do. For a guy who gets fouled as much as he does, that's not something that you want to be doing out there. I mean, like, yes, he's probably pissed off. I'm sure he got kicked a lot in
He
that
can
game.
probably never play against Alaves again.
Oh, yeah. That's a good point. Players police themselves in that type of situation. That was a terrible, terrible foul. Obviously, straight red card. Interestingly, only a yellow initially. Had to go to VAR, which is batshit crazy. The big talk, I saw this on Twitter, which obviously it's 50% true and 50% false. Like, if he gets a long-term 5-game suspension, he could be that could carry over to Champions League, is what I read.
I have no idea
Twitter.
whether or not
I don't
that's
know
true.
if that's true or not. I also read on some news thing that said he's available, so I'm just going to assume he is available. Certainly would change things if they were without him, though. So that'll be interesting to watch. Now, the storylines on Inter Bayern. Inter's defense. I know that we don't talk about Serie A very much, but like Inter's defense is crazy. Like, haven't they given up like 1 or 2 goals this entire Champions League?
They're a very, very well coached team, very organized. Yeah.
You well played, sir. Well played. But that too, for Bayern to turn that around, I'm very interested in that game. Like, obviously Bayern is Bayern. Going to Inter, needing to make up a deficit against a team with a defense like that is going to be an interesting one.
Yeah, breaking down the wall of Milan is not going to be fun for 90 minutes.
That might not be fun to watch either. Although it could be. Yeah, we'll see.
But the
we'll
Arsenal Real Madrid game could be really boring too. I mean, it could just be Arsenal packing
hopefully not
10 people into the penalty box.
The more exciting, the more better. I mean, like that first 15 minutes of that game is going to be so big.
But it's the same thing. It was, it was like the same thing as the Liverpool game. Like, if Henderson doesn't get that goal inside of the first 10 minutes, and the next one didn't come for a while, so like you have to get that first one. It just changes the whole mood because then the other team is thinking about it, and should be fun.
Oh God, I can already just sort of sense Arsenal B-holes puckering with that first goal 7 minutes into the game. Oh, it just makes me happy. Now, we're done with the good teams. Let's talk about the crap teams real quick. United are the Europa. Well, United is one of them. Europa League preview. Oh, boy. So, the first legs were nothing exactly to write home about, although I don't think anybody was exactly shocked with how the games went. First time around, so Tottenham, we should have scored at least 2 or 3 goals against Frankfurt on last Thursday. We only ended up scoring 1. They scored first, so we had to go, live with a 1-1 draw. That was very disappointing. Now heading back to a Frankfurt, where we, need to win. Not great, not great, but my hopes and expectations are, pretty much rock bottom, which historically speaking means there's at least a chance that we might not shit the bed. On the other hand, Lyon and Manchester United, they also a draw. That was in France, so United is going home. 2-2 is the score. I think the storyline was Andre Onana, who was just god awful in that game. The first goal, if you look back and they showed like a replay from basically the coach's box, which is basically in line with how the free kick was taken. I mean, how he just whiffed on that ball is beyond me. You're a goalkeeper. You have one job: put your hands in front of the ball. And he couldn't do that. The second one wasn't much better. It was a little, I think he gave up a really juicy rebound in like the 90 plus however many minutes. I thought maybe he might have been sort of screened and it was a hard shot. It was low and all that. So that one wasn't as big, glaring mistake as the first one, but still, after you make that first one, if you don't make that second save, it's just a tough look. So he didn't actually he didn't travel, I believe, for the Newcastle game at the weekend, which it's a tough look, obviously. But this game, Manchester United, I thought they were the better team against Lyon, who was a very good team. So now they're heading home. I asked you this last week. I don't even have to ask you this at this point. Like, who has a better chance of going through? I think I know your answer on this one, since I think you said United last week, and now they're obviously in a much better spot.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, this is whichever team, if not both, lose at this point, just the season is completely shot. And for Tottenham, we'll probably have a new manager. So, yay. I don't know. I'm beaten down at this point. I still want Ange to succeed. I want him to win this game. In the back of my mind, I think, okay, listen, we can pull this out. We can pull out like a ugly 1-goal win, and then we can we'll
you do
get
not
the
look,
team
you
together.
guys do not look the part.
No, we don't. There's no momentum. There's no the way that even when we beat Southampton, we won by 2 goals. It still felt like kind of a disappointing win, and we scored the PK or the penalty that there's a little fight about Brendan Johnson and Tell taking it that, and then obviously the fact that we tried to pack it in the second half and we couldn't even stop Southampton from scoring when we're packing it in. I mean, and then we go get our asses handed to us by Wolves. What's the evidence to suggest that this team is one that can go on and win Europe at this point?
If it was Conference League, maybe I could make an argument and be like they could limp their way to the finish line.
But I will say this: there is zero reason to believe this. I still believe we can win this. I really do believe we can win this.
For you. I'm really happy for you.
Oh, yeah. What are you gonna do? I'm an idiot. I'm ready to be hurt again, as usual. All right, MLS. Before we get to the U.S. Open Cup, we have the Minute Man here to give us the Hit It and Quit It MLS Minute with all the lowdown dirtiness that happened in MLS this weekend. So, Mr. Tyler Terrence, why don't you hit us with it?
All right, match day number 8 in the 2025 campaign. We're going to start north of the border between Toronto and Minnesota United, my beloved Loons, where I'm going to be heading next weekend for match day number 9. And it's a snooze fest north of the border at BMO. 0-0 is the final score. Let's head over to the ATL, where Atlanta United, who spent $50 million in the last 2 transfer windows and more than $40 million in the last one, you figured that probably should score goals at home and win. Caleb Porter and company have other thoughts, so they put off a 1-0 win at the Benz. And rough times for Ronnie Dilaside after picking up a dramatic win over NYCFC a couple of weeks ago. Let's go to Central Florida. Orlando City and Red Bulls. 0-0. Orlando City pick up a red card as well. I probably could have told you the result of that game. The draw, I'm a big fan of the draw as of late. And those 2 teams, they love to draw. Now let's go north of the border again, this time in British Columbia. There's a team by the name of the Vancouver Whitecaps who, if you're not paying attention, they arguably are playing the best football in the world at the moment. No, that's not an exaggeration. They're better than PSG. They're better than Arsenal. They're better than anybody who you can possibly come up with right now, whatever A-League bogus over that Sam is going to have for you later on in Ivan Toney's Best Bets. Whatever Jesper Sorensen is cooking right now, whatever Danish delight that he has feeding to the boys every single morning, it's clearly working. CONCACAF Champions Cup semifinal against Lionel Messi and Inter Miami coming up. Brian White, coming off of that game on the road in Mexico City, puts up a 4 spot against Nico Estevez and Austin FC, who coming into this weekend were one of the best defensive teams in Major League Soccer. Vancouver get it done 5-1 at home and are clearly, by far, the best team in MLS right now, top of the Supporter Shield table. Let's go to the Big Apple, where New York City FC, nice little rivalry brewing between Philadelphia and the Pigeons, and it's NYCFC who comes away with a much-needed win by a score of 1-0. Montreal playing host to Charlotte. Dean Smith's group get it done on the road north of the border, 1-0 in favor of the Crown. Let's go to our nation's capital. DC United playing host to FC Cincinnati. Cincinnati again without Evander, but Dado Valenzuela with a nice little shimmy shake, opens up the hips and absolutely tucks it away for the lone goal of the game. Matt Miazga makes his return to the field, played about 7 or 8 minutes for Pat Noonan's group. Great sign for the Orange and Blue. They pick up 3 points. That's back-to-back wins for Pat Noonan. FC Dallas at home against the Seattle Sounders, and a lot of movement between those two sides over the past, few months or so with all the transactions and Jesus Ferreira and Paul Arriola being over there, but the injuries and the whole thing. And, that game just sort of is my tone right now as I'm trying to keep it down. The fiance's sleeping. It's 11 o'clock Eastern time. Why am I doing this with Sam right now? Because we love the game. Who didn't love the result? FC Dallas. They fall by a score of 1-0. Seattle pick up the win. Nashville at home against RSL. Diego Luna and company coming off a win last weekend. They can't get it done against BJ Callahan's side. Nashville come away with a 2-1 win. Colorado Rapids at home against the stingy San Diego FC side. Who is Mikey Varis? What is this San Diego group? We're still trying to figure it out. Chris Armas and company get it done. 3-2 is the final score. All right, let's go to the City of Angels where the LA Galaxy were playing host to the Houston Dynamo. Galaxy can't get it done. 1-1 is the final score. And if I'm not mistaken, and forgive me, I haven't done a game of theirs yet this year, but they're still winless, I believe, the
That's
LA
correct.
Galaxy. Struggling
3
at the moment.
draws.
And if you can't beat the Houston Dynamo, I can't really help you or say anything further. So let's go back to the City of Angels, just across town this time, next to the Rose Bowl, where LAFC beat San Jose in a little California Classico by a score of 2-1 after getting bounced from CONCACAF Champions Cup on Wednesday night against Inter Miami. Speaking of Inter Miami, let's go to Soldier Field, where in front of more than 62,000, they got an absolute stink fest for basically the first 90 minutes or so. Stoppage time, electric. End-to-end football. Allende pulls a 1v1 wide. Joe Bamba had 2 different 1v1 opportunities that were both saved by Ustari. One, he barely even got an attempt away. And then Marin Haile Selassie missed an absolute sitter on the doorstep, and he wasn't able to put it on frame after Ustari was beat. But 0-0 is the final score. Good building block for Chicago, although it feels like they dropped 2 points in that game. Meanwhile, for Inter Miami, first time to shut out in league play so far this season. Sporting Kansas City earlier in the day dropped 3 points at home to Portland. Portland put up 4. You heard that correctly. Phil Neville had his side scoring 4 goals. 4-2 is the final score. And the final game of match day number 8, Sunday Night Soccer between St. Louis City and the Columbus Crew. And the Crew continue to get it done. We have 2 unbeaten sides remaining in Major League Soccer. It is Inter Miami. It is the Columbus Crew. Columbus are the only team that's sort of chasing Vancouver right now in the Supporter Shield standings. 2-1 is the final score. Patrick Schulte came up with some huge saves down the stretch. And that would do it for match day number 8.
Well done. So 2 things that I want to get your take on here. Well, actually, one that I want to get your take on, and one that I want to point out. Number 1, the Champions, so CONCACAF Champions Cup, which there's just too many competitions going on at the moment. We're not really going to get into it that much, but the Champions Cup games this past week, which you called one of which, were awesome. Yeah, I think it was on. Was it on
2.
Wednesday?
Just none of you gringos decided to watch Club America and Cruz Azul late on Tuesday night at 11 o'clock Eastern.
That's true. It's a good point. I actually usually watch that,
and it was a great game.
I like
Cruz
the
Azul
overs in
upset
that.
Club America. Yeah.
But I watched the 2 games on. I think it was a Wednesday with Inter Miami, or was that Thursday?
Yeah, Wednesday.
Okay, it was Wednesday. So Inter Miami faced LAFC in probably the battle of arguably the 2 sexiest teams in MLS. The game was awesome. Inter Miami won 3-1, which put them ahead 3-2 on aggregate. So they snuck through on that one. Shout out Aaron Long, by the way, Sam fan, who scored a goal in that game. The second game, the late game, Whitecaps, who you've already discussed, teased how well they're playing at the moment. They had just a crazy game. You called the game, so I should probably actually let you talk about it. It was just a great game against what was it? Tigres? Pumas.
Yeah.
And Tristan Blackman, who, by the way, also Sam Pham, center back / striker, who scored in that. I think he's the one that scored the stoppage time. Just
like
crazy.
2 minutes after Pumas had just scored to basically win it. Yeah.
What a crazy game that was. And the 2 games together, it was just a great, unexpected sort of Wednesday night of soccer. You just don't even see it coming.
And I'll tell you what, there's a real problem in this country, in MLS, in North America, and in CONCACAF of not promoting this tournament properly.
Yeah.
Not enough people know about it. It's not being pumped up enough.
Whose fault is that?
It's everybody's fault. It's everybody's. I don't know if it's CONCACAF not putting the proper resources to, I'm driving down 71 in Cincinnati. I'm seeing billboards for Club World Cup months ago.
Mm-hmm.
Why aren't I seeing those billboards for CONCACAF Champions Cup? For the local club, Cincinnati's not even playing in it. And FIFA's paying the money to be able to advertise it. And for me, this is the Champions League of our region. This is a big fucking deal, man. You get an opportunity to win CONCACAF Champions Cup and go to Club World Cup. And forgive me, but the prize money in the Club World Cup is astronomical. That can cover your entire payroll for a year, even just getting to the Club World Cup. And why are we setting the expectations so low that Seattle's the only team that can win this thing? Now, granted, we're guaranteed to have a Liga MX MLS final, right? It's either going to be Tigres or Cruz Azul, or it's going to be Inter Miami Vancouver. But the fact that the FC Cincinnati round of 16 game against Tigres, okay? You wonder why these Mexican teams do better. sure, some of it has to do with the fact that Mexico is basically playing this right in the middle of the season. They're informed, they're fit, the whole thing, and MLS teams are just waltzing into this coming out of preseason. But for me, it's because MLS teams don't have a home field advantage in the earlier rounds. MLS fans don't start showing up until the quarterfinals and the semifinals. And because of that, there was like 10,000 people at TQL for their first leg game against Tigres. So you don't have a home field advantage. And when away goals mean something, it's fucking insane for you to not and forgive me, and I'm not a ticket sales expert, but if I'm a general manager or if I'm a president of business operations at these clubs, I am giving tickets away.
Yeah.
Pack
Get
the place.
people in the stadium.
If you lose money for one night, it's better than losing the game and missing out on the opportunity to make $25 million just for being a part of the Club World Cup. I don't have an MBA. I'm not a wizard with this type of stuff, but like, Jesus, we have to find a way to get this to be a bigger deal, because not only is it a big deal, but like Sam said, like, dude, those games were incredible. I came away with the biggest smile on my face. I'm like a Vancouver Whitecaps fan for life now. I was on the call for both of their second legs against Monterrey and Pumas. I'm like, this team is so much fucking fun. This is a great story. And there's a great story every tournament. Anyway, I love this tournament. I've been calling it since 2017, not consecutively, but that's when I first started calling it. And like, I fell in love with it immediately. It's like, it's so freaking cool. And it's a great opportunity to get that MLS Liga MX stuff without the made-up tournament that goes on during the summer, which isn't real because the games are only in America. So there you go.
Exactly. It's a competition that will grow, and it'll get there, but we're clearly not even close to there yet. Shout out, by the way, Mayan Zilberstein, who said he booked a flight to Miami. He's a Whitecaps fan. He booked a flight to Miami right after they won that game. Let's see. Oh, speaking of competitions that I think anyway are poised for bigger and better things in the near future, U.S. Open Cup, which, despite MLS's attempt to strangle it in the cradle, I do think is going to continue to grow. Speaking of prize money, this is a complete sort of non sequitur, but the amount of prize money for the U.S. Open Cup winner is embarrassing. It is embarrassingly small. Isn't it like 500,000 or something? It's something ridiculously tiny. It's just embarrassing. U.S. Soccer needs to actually put some money behind this, because I do think this competition, especially if USL is really going to put their money where their mouth is and try to do this pro rel thing and sort of people get behind that. And MLS obviously already has sort of the built-in fan bases and everything. Like, this competition is it's just going to get bigger. And I'm excited to see where it goes. So right now we are in the third round coming up this week, midweek. There are a couple, Cinderella teams that we at least got to point out here, because there's still a lot of games. This is the point where things really start to get more interesting. Bigger teams start to maybe pay a little more attention. We'll see what happens next round. But right now, the two that I want to point out are Portland Hearts of Maine, who
Hearts of Pine.
Hearts of Pine. What, Hearts of Maine? No.
Yeah.
Close enough for me. But Portland Hearts of Pine, some of the best jerseys in the game, by the way. They are playing Rhode Island, I think, right?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yep.
Rhode Island, the USL championship team. So Hearts of Pine are in the USL League One, and they are hosting, I believe, Rhode Island let me make sure that's true. Franklin Athletic Complex. I actually don't know where that is. It is in... Don't know. Okay, thanks, Google. Not particularly helpful on that one. It is in Maine. Okay, so Portland Hearts of Pine is hosting Rhode Island. That should be a really big one. Obviously, this is their first season. I love their socials and their sort of just the vibe. It really reminds me of Forward Madison. Like, they definitely have some similarities. So that will be a game that I will be watching, kind of a Cinderella story. But the biggest Cinderella is the Burrito Truck team. So you could probably speak to this a little bit more than me, but El Farolito is traveling to Sac Republic, who everybody probably remembers as the Cinderella from years past. And in fact, you called some of their big games. That's what is El Farolito? What even are like league are they in?
They're in that they're just like in a normal San
NPSL.
Francisco
NPSL.
I think that's one of the leagues they play in, but then they also play in like the local San Francisco amateur whatever. I think
They're an awesome story,
awesome,
and they're always a force to be reckoned with in this.
So I did Inter San Francisco's game against Monterey Bay, who then lost to El Farolito. And the coach of San Francisco is basically like, yeah, it's like us and Farolito who are like the best soccer teams, the best amateur sides in Northern California type deal. But I mean, El Farolito beat a Monterey Bay side that, let's be completely honest, like is on the struggle bus and has been for a few years now. Not to say that it's not impressive, because there are still full-blown professionals in the second division of the United States who are losing to amateurs. I'm not trying to diminish it. However, Sacramento's a bit of a different animal, and obviously are not going to be surprised by anything. So, but I'm looking forward to it. I mean, again, the third round is always for these types of stories, right? I think you nailed it with Hearts of Pine and El Farolito being the two teams and the two games that you really like. If you're jonesing for a cup set hit, like that's where you're going to get it. And then the following round, MLS teams will jump in, and maybe you're going to get El Farolito playing against an MLS team. Who knows? San Jose Earthquake, shout out. But anyway, yeah, it should be fun.
That'd be awesome. And the other game we got to point out, so Loudoun, I think, is traveling to Lou City on Tuesday for, obviously, Tommy will be there. Tommy will be playing. Everybody, if you're in the Louisville area, perhaps even Cincinnati area, get your ass to that game.
Don't make me feel bad. We already had plans. All right.
I
saw how close it was, and I was like, I can't believe I'm not fucking going to this game.
I mean, it's kind of like fair play is or turnaround is fair play. How's that saying go? No. The fact you went and called one of his Loudoun games and he didn't play.
Yeah, I mean, yeah,
you guys are even now.
Yeah,
we'll call it even anyway. All right, let's head to stoppage time. Put a bow on this episode. So we are going to start, of course, with Ivan Toney's best bets. We're the overtrained boys and girls. Oh, we are cooking. We are cooking with gas at this point. We hit we were 4-1 last week with 3 of the 4 winners going over 3.5, which is always sort of a little bonus, because typically on these games, I don't know if I've ever said this before, but on these Ivan Toney best bet overtrained games, I typically take the over 2.5 and the over 3.5. Because the over 3.5 is what really pays money. So we won the first 4 games. We actually lost on Sunday's A-League game, which really hurt because the A-League had been just firing. We had like 7 goals, 8 goals, 9 goals in games earlier in the weekend. And then, of course, the one game I picked was only 2-0. So that was a little disappointing finish to the weekend, but that's all right. 4-1, not so bad. This week in Overtrain, 5-a-side picks. Remember, 1 over per day, Wednesday through Sunday. We are going to start on Wednesday with Sydney FC hosting Lions City Sailors. And that's in the Asian Champions League. I know whenever I say one of these games, Tyler always gives me
that Asian Champions League doesn't get enough press either. Nobody cares about it.
Right, exactly. We need to get some more advertising out there, get some road signs up. Lion City Sailors, by the way, Singaporean team. I'm a big fan of this. The reason I really like the AFC Championship games or Champions League games, the same reason I like Chinese Super League, and the same reason I like A-League, because they play when nothing else is going on. You just get a little ding at 3:30 in the morning and wakes you up for just a moment, and you get that little dopamine rush and you go right back to sleep. Oh, it's the best thing in the world. All right, so Thursday we were going to Denmark. Danish First Division, Velge Bold Club is hosting Overtrain Hall of Fame first ballot consensus pick Viborg. Friday, we have one of those games that just rolls off the tongue from the Swiss Challenge League, Thun versus Will. It just sounds nice. That was Friday. Saturday, we are going to Hungary, where Paxi is hosting Puskás Academy. And Sunday, Bundesliga 2, Karlsruhe hosting Greuther Fürth. So there it is, your five-a-side overtrained Ivan Toney's best bets of the week. Let's go get richer. Your turn, Tyler Terrence. What do you got for us?
Villa and Madrid to advance parlay.
Oh, whoa. First of all, I got a little chubby. I got a little chubby in the pants right there. I love it. What does that pay?
5 to win 285. Plus 50. It's plus 5,600.
Oh my god, that would be. Oh, that would just be.
And then I've got a more sensible one.
Oh, okay.
A draw in the Villa PSG game, and then Madrid to advance, which is still plus 2,200. Still not all
sensible.
that sensible. Not all that sensible, but yeah,
more sensible. It's all relative. Everything's relative here.
Yeah.
All right. Now it's go is time. Everybody's favorite segment, especially Mikey Fowler. Now that he actually knows what it means. No Mikey this week, unfortunately, but I will let you, Mr. Tyler Terrence, go first if you're ready. What do you got for us on go is?
Brian White and the Vancouver Whitecaps. It has to be said. And I'm going to start with the collective first before we hone in on the individual. Just so everybody's aware, Vancouver has been doing this since the first leg of the Monterrey game, which was 5 weeks ago, without their best player, without arguably one of the best players in MLS. They've gone like 4-1-1 in all competitions without Ryan Gauld. They've got like a 21-year-old fullback in Eddie Arocampo that nobody had heard of coming into this season. They've been playing a rotated back line. Tristan Blackman, the pride of Pacific University.
Sam Pham.
Who? Pacific University? The Tigers? Yeah. You've never heard of him. There's a reason why you haven't. He played for Phoenix Rising before he even started to really get a sniff in Major League Soccer. Then you've got like a journeyman in Daniel Rios, who started both second legs down in Mexico, just filling the void, allowing for Brian White to come on and play that delicious cameo role and helping them get across the finish line. Sebastian Berhalter with the disgusting golazo. You get where I'm going with this. They're a collective. They're a team. If you have not watched Jesper Sorensen side, I promise you, for all of my super nerds out there, you will look at them and you'll be like, I know what Tyler's talking about. This is the promised land. This is what it's supposed to look like. Brian White, New Jersey native, ball knower, ball player, Duke product, lighting it up. Absolutely lighting it up. Okay? And for a guy that's 29 years old, was playing for Red Bulls in his hometown club, eventually gets shipped off to Vancouver, doesn't know his soul, like baby Jesus, doesn't know a word yet, and he now has turned into an elite goal scorer on the other side of the country, and again is doing it without the guy who basically provides every single one of his assists in Ryan Gauld. This is arguably one of the best stories in soccer right now, what Vancouver have strung together. Hand up to God, I had them in like 13th or 14th in the Western Conference this year. I really did. One of the best stories in soccer at the moment. They're incredible. I love them.
Good job. And that I mean, just to put a little sort of exclamation point, that Champions League or Champions Cup, CONCACAF Champions Cup win at Pumas last second. They gave up a goal in like the 89th minute.
They don't know how to lose.
It's so deflating to do that, and they came back and scored in stoppage time to win on the road in Mexico. That was just you're a serious team. You're not an unserious team if you do something like that. All right, I got a couple honorable mentions. One goes to Fortaleza in Brazil. So one of their players, Moises, scored just an incredible bicycle kick goal. And then while celebrating, one of his teammates he was running to the corner flag. Somebody pushed him from behind. So he like sprained or pulled his hammy doing it. And then the goal got called back from VAR from offsides. It's just a hilarious situation. Rodrigo Huescas, who is a Mexican international player who plays in Copenhagen, so in Denmark for Copenhagen FC. He got apparently arrested for speeding 62 in a 31. By the way, obviously it's in kilometers per mile, so they're just sort of doing the math on that. He was going double the speed limit. Not good at all. But apparently they're talking about deporting him and he might, basically lose his job over that, which so that stinks. Slow down, kids, if there's a lesson there. But those are both honorable mentions. My actual Goa goes to all the media outlets who just, I think it was last week, were splashing headlines left and right about Weston McKennie and betting scandals, and like, oh, like basically like the headlines themselves and the tweets and all these sort of really short form whatever media things, they were basically, they didn't give any nuance obviously, but like they made it seem like Weston McKennie was like the next Lucas Paqueta, or even our guy Ivan Toney, Sandro Tonali, who, by the way, Tonali was actually involved in this. It was just sort of all these headlines about like Weston McKennie and like betting scandal. Oh, by the way, they just, him and like 11, 12 other guys in Italy, they may have like played a couple like hands of online poker, and they're going to get fined 250 euros. That's what the whole story was. And all these like media outlets are just like, betting scandal, Weston McKennie, blah, blah, blah. Like, yeah, you get your clicks. Congratulations. That was such bullshit to like sort of put him in that, in that kind of headline where what people are going to assume. And obviously people got to click it and all that. It's just that was trashy. That was trashy. So all the media outlets who ran with those headlines and threw Weston McKennie under the bus basically for some absolute bullshit. You're my Goa, and that's a bad Goa, by the way. Shame on you. That is disgusting. Be better. All right, there we go. We didn't keep it under an hour like I thought we might.
No chance.
It's my fault. It's always my fault. But everybody, number one, say a big thank you to Tyler Terrence, who hopped on after a long day of traveling. That's why they're the best. That's why they're the best in the business. Everybody in the chat, you guys are amazing. If you're not in the chat, if you're not in the Discord, please get in the Discord. It's honestly this awesome little community. You got to get in on the Patreon to get to the Discord. Also, by the way, I should have said this earlier, but we had an awesome interview last week, which I have done my usual crap job of promoting. But I talked to Mail Korboj and Isaiah Young of Arminia Bielefeld, who is that third division team in Germany, who just beat Bayer Leverkusen to go to the DFB Pokal Cup final in late May. They've beaten 3 Bundesliga teams, I believe, and 1 Bundesliga 2 team on the way to this cup final. It's just an awesome story. These guys, Mail and Isaiah, are both Americans, so their path to getting to Arminia Bielefeld is awesome. They're awesome guys, by the way. They're just really cool. Mail just scored this weekend. Sam's Army Bump is alive and well. If you get in the Sam's Army Patreon, you also get access. So you get access to the Discord. You get access to Tommy's Brain with his Tommy's Talking Tactics blogs, and you get access to these bonus episodes with guys like Mail and Isaiah. So get in the Patreon and join us, help us, take us to the next level, etc. So thank you. If you are listening and you haven't subscribed, I still love you, but I'll love you just a little bit more if you subscribe. That's all we got. You guys are the best. Tottenham stinks. This might be D-Day coming up on Thursday, but we'll be back either way. Bigger, better, faster, stronger. See you guys next week.